Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another morning of Coffee Talk Tuesday. Today is June 2nd. It is a beautiful sunny day outside, a little chilly, but beautiful. And we are here again this morning to talk to everybody about social behavior. We have spent the last few weeks talking about this, actually the past several weeks. So this is the third in a series talking about specifically about improving social interactions, but we've been talking about how difficult it's been to live in this time when everything is so uncertain, and just having to develop new and different ways to cope with what's going on, and how difficult that is for us as people, and how difficult it is for our kids, whether it's our own children or it's kids that we're serving and working with. So today we are going to have, I'm very excited, it's the third part series in our series. 2 weeks ago we talked about elementary age children and improving social interactions for them. Last week we talked about middle and high school, and today we're going to talk about transition aged people and adults, and how we can look at social interaction or social opportunities for them in a little bit of a different way, given the times that we're in. So we have three very special guests today. Once again, we have Christina Fricano, who's joined us throughout this whole series. She's our speech pathologist at the IPPI Learning Academy. We're also fortunate today to have Danielle Epperson, who has been a behavior analyst with IPPI for a long time, and she has worked with people across the age span, from little ones to adults. And I'm very excited to introduce everybody to Valarie Coppola, who is a dear friend and coworker. We've known each other for a very long time, and she came back. We worked. I worked for her, and then she came and worked with us at IPPI, and now she is the director of a transition program in Hamden. She's also a speech and language pathologist. She's a former principal, a former special ed director, you name it, this lady has done it. And so we're very happy to have her with us this morning to talk about her experiences promoting social interactions for people. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to get this discussion started. So let's see, Katie has a couple of questions for Val this morning. So Katie, the floor is all yours.
Great. So Val, like Liz said, the last 2 weeks we talked about social interaction opportunities for children, both elementary through high school. This week we're talking about the same topic, but for our adult population, which is entirely different. Can you talk to us about some difficulties you've had creating opportunities with transition age students, and what you have done to overcome those?
Sure. First of all, thank you for letting me be a part of this very important discussion. The 18 to 21-year-old population sometimes is forgotten, or we don't have a good handle on what activities and things we can do for that population. But as we know, we still need to provide educational services for those students who qualify. On a good day, when we're in school and we're in a normal school year, we have at the Hamden Transition Academy a lot of opportunities for our students to have social interactions with same age peers. It just so happens that we're located on the campus of Southern Connecticut State University, so our program is affiliated with a lot of the other programs that are on site. For example, we have student mentors who come and spend time with our students at lunch, or who attend our leisure activities on Friday. Our students also take part in some of the classes that are actually offered at Southern and are part of the classroom instruction in at least 3 opportunities, whether it be adaptive PE, teaching other teachers how to teach students with disabilities. But as you know, that ended so abruptly for all of us, and so much so for our students. And the one thing we've heard from our kids is that I miss my friends. I miss being with my friends. So we felt during the distance learning time, we had to really think out of the box on how to continue some of those activities, but respect the district policy around using instruction, family expectations. And so what we've done, we've talked a lot of our students. Every day is built in communication or contact with one of their students, their fellow students. They can text, they can call, they can email. Every day between 11 and 12, they have a list of conversation starters that the teacher provides for them, so they can have some interaction with their fellow students. They can also choose to contact a faculty member, but the contact needed to continue. We also, because this is so much one way right now, we wanted to make sure that we didn't lose contact in a social sense with our students. So we did a shared file where we made videos of ourselves doing things at home and going through things that we've done for the kids at home. Another very useful tool activity that we used were virtual tours. And we set those up on Fridays so that there were many different ones, but we took it a step farther. And many of our students and our families really want to know, or how can we interact with our kids at this point? So we set up a virtual family tour. So the students would watch the virtual tour with their families and kind of do, you know, if we were going to go there, what would you want to see? It's a great language lesson. Well, how would you plan for this virtual tour? Where do you want to go next week? So continuing those opportunities within a very structured and specific framework has been very challenging. I think those are some of the opportunities that we've had. We've also had our student mentors. They wanted to contact the students, but again, we have to adhere to district guidelines. So they did videos of themselves, and we post them in our online platform, so they can get to know what the students, their mentors, are doing at home and their fellow students during the pandemic.
Great.
Does that kind of answer your question?
Absolutely. And it already kind of led into a little bit of the next question. So you gave a ton of great examples of opportunities that teachers can provide for students who are transition age. What are some other recommendations that you might offer, especially for teachers who might not have some of the same restrictions in terms of, you know, being able to use face-to-face time during this time?
Sure. I would think, and you might think this answer is surprising, I found it, and I think our team found it very helpful to reach out to other teams and what they are doing at this point, especially teams that you've built a relationship with and share materials. A great example of that is Tammy Magnano, who is the teacher for the IPP program, the transition program. We started reaching out and having a mutual gathering, which we did earlier in the school year, which I have to tell you, if anyone is listening who is on a team with a transition, please, please contact us, because we're starting to want to reach out to other districts and other transition people and start a consortium of how we can get together and really integrate our students with each other. So I would definitely ask teachers to reach out, share materials. That was another thing that we found very helpful. There's a lot online to go through. So if you have paraprofessionals or anyone else who can help you with that, we found delineating tasks among staff according to your curriculum is very helpful. But again, reach out to each other, and that information is listed on the Bureau of Special Education website under transition information on the state website.
Val, I love that idea. This idea of a consortium where you can have so many people coming together, especially now when it's a little bit easier. Get-togethers can be virtual, and you can have different kinds of activities online. But that kind of carries it over when we can actually be in person. Then you have this whole group of people who already know each other from meeting online.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And the consortium really speaks to how we can, as a community, build a community for ourselves as teachers, selfishly, but also for our students, because depending on where your program is located in your district, you may be just isolated because of your location. That's not good or bad. It's just the nature of where your program is. So any way that we can get together and start integrating. And one thing I will tell you that we are looking forward to, Dr. Sellinger, we use the IPP space in Hamden for instruction. That art center is amazing. So if you, as a community or as parents, look into that art center, and Liz, I'll defer to you on that. But we also wanted to start doing evening get-togethers for our young adults who we have, as well as those who've graduated, to start again. That sense of community is lost when our students graduate sometimes.
Yeah. That's a great point. And speaking when they graduate, I want to talk a little bit about some things that are going on with our adults. So thank you, Val. We're going to come back to you, but I want to talk a little bit to Danielle. And I know, Chrissy, you had some questions that you had for Danielle.
Yeah, Danielle, it's good to see you. We haven't got together in quite some time.
See, we're even bringing people together on coffee talks.
I know. Great. It's great to see her. So, you know, I worked with you obviously when you were working with the school side, the elementary, middle school folks. So you, like Liz said, you come to us with this vast experience across all the age span. And most recently, you have been working with our adult community in our groups and our day programs. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of the strategies that you and your teams have found useful in trying to help our adults engage in any type of social activity now that, like Val said, things just kind of came to a halt? They're not going out into the community. They're not participating maybe in their jobs or in their day programs anymore. How have your teams helped work around that?
So it's been a challenge, like it has for everybody. It was very abrupt. Our day program is all community based. So when you're looking at 36 adults going from into the community every day to being at home, it's a challenge. We have 19 group homes with a vast array of abilities. Yeah. So using virtual platforms isn't for all of our individuals. So what we've been coming up with is more self-care activities within the home. I know for my day program staff, it was about coming up with the new ideas of, well, we can't go into the community anymore. Our schedule's all messed up. What are we going to do? And you're looking at shared living situations where adults don't always get to choose who they live with. Might not like everybody they live with. So, and you're stuck for months. The DDS commissioner did not allow us initially at first to even do rides for our individuals. And we couldn't go to parks or anything. So it was definitely a big challenge. Visitors were stopped, so our individuals can't see their families or anything like that. So it was about getting really, really creative. And creating new ways to like exercise. We have a lot of exercise programs.
Right. Oh, yeah.
On YouTube, like sitting exercises, and teaching our direct support support professionals to put them into a schedule to kind of create a little bit more normalcy. So as a group, instead of working with one individual, you're working with your whole group home. And working with all the different personalities of trying to get people to try things that other people might like. And if they don't, then they can go and do their own thing. So we've done things like spa days. So the houses that are mainly female will do spa days where it's nails and things like that. We do reach the virtual tours. A lot of our, actually our young males really like those like zoo tours and things like that. And then creating Netflix days, that was a big one, where once a week someone gets to choose their own video for the whole house to watch, and kind of try to create that camaraderie within the house, so that we kind of would lessen any sort of tension that might be happening. Thankfully, things have lessened a little bit for us, so that, you know, parents can come visit now, but they have to be socially distant and can go outside, which has definitely helped. But creating a structure together as a whole group has definitely helped minimize our problem behavior in the group homes. You know, it's a challenge for everyone, and it's hard when you don't understand. Actually, one of our group home managers, for any of the individuals who wanted it, you know, our individuals got the $1,200 stimulus check So she got them iPads so that they could FaceTime with other.
Oh, that's great.
Love that.
So we have individuals who are FaceTiming their clinicians, you know,
That's great.
friends at other group homes. Yeah, which has been really awesome. So, you know, we're getting creative.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So with that, you know, I guess that I wasn't even thinking about the isolation of them not leaving the homes, and I don't know why I wasn't, because that's all of us, right? And we might not all enjoy the company of everyone in our family, just like your adults that might not be enjoying everyone's company.
Yeah, you know, it's a long time, and you choose who you live with. It can be a
Right.
challenge.
I hope my family wasn't watching when I did this. But when you talk about creating those opportunities that might, and you touched upon a couple of them, like the spa days or some activities, because I imagine that structure and that routine must be imperative right now. Can you expand a little bit more on that? Like maybe give folks some ideas around what are some, you talked about the movie days and the spa days. Are there some other things that your teams have found really successful?
So when this all started, kind of made a mandate, I suppose. 30 minutes a day, we have to do self-care for individuals. And there was an 8-activity list that I gave them. Said every day choose one, and try to get everyone involved and have them try it for a few minutes. And if they don't like it, then that's okay. But everyone should try it. So day 1 was exercise. We have spa days. We did mindfulness. It's different than it's more like calming music with the lights off, listening to things. You know, some of our individuals are pretty impacted. But it was just about creating a sense of calmness. You know, how do we all deal with the pandemic when we don't understand it? Then we did Netflix days, so we're doing that. And audiobooks was another choice. And then the virtual zoos and aquariums has been a big hit. And then lastly was the art from outside. So they have to go outside and make art. Art's kind of typical end-day programs for, you know, leisure activities, for options for them to do. So I was trying to bring back some of the normal things that they would have options to should they be at the art studio or Michael's place.
Danielle, do you think that some of these things that you're doing, like these spa days and Netflix days, I mean, these are things that we don't have to be in the middle of a pandemic to engage in some of these kinds of activities. Do you think these are things that would continue, is part of the question? And the second part is, do you think that new relationships have developed within the houses because of some of these activities, or are developing?
Hopefully. So, you know, I consulted day programs, so it was more towards day program staff to help them create that schedule. But obviously my whole department, we meet weekly, and I believe they were going to continue to push this. And I meet with the group home managers regularly, and overall things have been going well. So hopefully on weekends, this can continue.
Yeah.
Back up. We haven't had any major incidences where people are butting heads too badly.
That's great.
So,
because that hasn't been the case in my house.
Right.
We've had a few moments, but everything's been manageable.
Right.
You know, it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, that's great.
Overall, I think
Yeah.
people are dealing with it much better.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah. Christina, I want to hear from you a little bit. You've been with us for all of these sessions where we talked about all different age groups, and now we're into the adults. What are your thoughts about what you've heard? You know, tell us about your experiences, and maybe talk a little bit about kind of setting expectations in this area with this age population.
I think that we need to remember that, like, even though these people are adults, if they have some communication deficits, they're still going to need that same sort of structure and set of expectations that we would give like our middle and high school students, right? But you do want to treat them with the same respect that you would do to another adult, because they are in that different age group and they deserve that respect that you would give. someone, you know, a peer. And so kind of looking at setting those expectations of like, okay, well, if you want to engage in this activity, like whatever, the virtual zoo watching and whatnot, kind of giving them a set of expectations. Okay, that means that you're going to be sitting quietly with the group, and that you know, you're going to stay safe, and you know, whatever kind of behavioral expectations you have for that activity.
Mm-hmm.
And then also kind of giving them a set of expectations, like, okay, if you want to participate, here are some strategies, some communication strategies that you can use. Here are some questions you could ask about it. Or even giving examples of like social questions that you could ask the person sitting next to you, like, oh, do you like the zoo? Or what's your favorite animal? Kind of like setting that stage to set them up for success. And it's obviously going to depend on the level of your the adult you're working with.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar in terms of where we're saying, you know, people have choices, right? Everybody has choices from the little guys all the way up to the adults. And I think that for us, if we're working with people, it's kind of understanding that people have choices and understanding that it's not our choice. It's not what we want for the person. It's what they want. And then taking it from there and having those strategies kind of at the ready to help facilitate it if the person is motivated and wants to do it and wants to be there. You know, when we were talking last week, we talked about some different potential platforms that are available for adults who are looking for opportunities or for starting opportunities. Can you talk a little bit about some different platforms that you're familiar with or that you know about that you can share with us?
So there's a ton of video chatting platforms. Kind of the most popular is like Zoom, which we're on right now, FaceTime, which if you have an Apple device, so like the adults of the group homes that now have iPads, or everybody that's got an iPhone, you can FaceTime. Skype is another popular one. Microsoft Teams, which is essentially the same as Skype since they're owned by Microsoft. It's just that with Teams, you're allowed a little bit more flexibility with screen sharing and control. So that's cool. But then if you wanted to like play games with your friends, so say you have a group of adults and they're normally together in the day program, but they all live in different group homes, they could hop on to House Party if they have like a mobile device, and there are built-in games on that. Or they can play, there's a whole bunch of online games that allow you to create a private room so that you're not playing with strangers. You just kind of get a unique link and can pass that on, which is really nice. The only thing with playing some of these online games is that you may want to also be streaming at the same time. You might want to be on Zoom while you're playing the game. So it's a little easier to do on a computer than it is on a mobile device.
Great. I mean, there are definitely a lot of different, you know, as time is going on, I'm actually seeing more things kind of come out. Different people are trying out different things and putting it out there, different groups and that sort of thing. So I think that there are opportunities that are available. So thank you for that. Obviously, with creating social opportunities, I mean, we could talk for hours and hours about this topic. I think I've said that every week for the past 3 weeks within every population. That's why we kind of made this a series. But unfortunately, we're just about out of time. I want to thank our guests. And I also want to just talk a little bit about kind of the direction that we're going to go for the next few weeks. As we're sitting here, you know, kind of debriefing about our conversations during coffee talk, we're recognizing that we're kind of shifting into a different phase of this pandemic within the state of Connecticut. So, you know, the past several weeks, we've been with you kind of moving along together, trying to figure out this new normal that we're in. Well, now this new normal is starting to shift a little bit because the state of Connecticut is starting to open up a little bit. There's a whole brand new level of uncertainty in terms of what's going to be open. If things are open, is it still safe to be open? Should I bring my children out? If I bring my children out, how do I get them to wear a mask? How can I teach them appropriate social distancing? What are some of these safety precautions we can take? So we thought that in the next few weeks, weeks, we're going to start this conversation about just that. How do we move into this next phase and support ourselves, our families, and the kids that we're working with and our own children through this next phase of the pandemic, where the world is starting to open up again, and now we have to figure out how to maneuver that a little bit. So we really would be interested in some questions from those of you who are listening. What are you worried about? What are some of the struggles? We have a list that we've created of things that we're worried about, but we also want to hear from people who are watching so that we can really address the needs that are out there. So that's on board for next week. Once again, I want to thank Christina and Danielle and Val. Val, thank you for taking time out of your day to come back and hang with us for a bit. And if nothing else from the Coffee Talkers, until next week, we'll see you then.